All right, guys. So, yeah, why do people take drugs? Okay, let's just get this figured out. Why do people take drugs? People take drugs to modify their hormones. People take drugs to give them more laser focusedness. People do drugs so that way they can relax. People do drugs so that way they can focus on stuff and learn stuff. People do drugs so that way they can be more, productive. Okay, and so we are now dealing with a genetically modified society that is able to manipulate hormones in adults as well as children. And if you are not competing at the level of these very advanced genetically modified people, you're going to fall short. It's already happening. You're seeing right now millennials who don't know how to really, who don't see a future for themselves. Instead of them trying to figure out how to get to the moon, guess what? They want to be YouTube stars. You know why? Because they know they are smarted by these CRISPR kids. What are CRISPR kids? These are gene edited kids. These are designer freaking babies. And when you have designer babies, they're going to be very laser focused, and they will achieve things earlier on and probably achieve more things than some adults out there. So there's two ends of the spectrum when it comes to designer babies. There's the autistic baby, and then there's a genius baby. That's what we're creating in our society. Very extremes. And then you're going to have suicide because these autistic kids, or kids that are on the spectrum, or kids that can't really achieve so much because we have all these CRISPR kids doing it, they're going to feel less than. They're going to be the ones that are going to be trouble in our society because they're not achieving at the level of their counterparts. Because if you are in a society where there are people that have more money than you, and they're able to afford the drugs, afford the gene editing, guess what? They're going to achieve more. And if you're poor, you don't have a lot of resources, you're just going to be left with whatever is available, whatever you can afford. So those of you that are trying to be all like, vegan and vegetarian and all biblical diet and all like changing your diet, you're actually degrading yourself even more, and you will not really be able to compete with people who are going to be that much. Well, here's the thing. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the same. Yeah, I mean, you're going to be degrading, but here's the thing. This is about for the children here now. Now we're seeing children who are going to be achieving a lot more. They'll probably achieve a lot more in their first 20 years than most adults in their last 20 years. When do adults actually achieve stuff? Between 30 and 50. Maybe if they're lucky, they might achieve something between 20 and 30. If they are that laser focused and they have a very good upbringing and they happen to win the genetic lottery and all that stuff. But what I'm going to see is we have kids that are, my dog is barking in the background. We have kids that are achieving more at a younger age. You're going to college, you're going to be like all revered as some new titan in industry, getting their degrees at like 9 years old. And then you have the kids that didn't get any kind of gene editing. They already have a generational weakness that they're going to go to school, they're going to act out because they don't know what else to do, or they're going to get beat up, or they're going to be bullies and predators, or they're going to make their long-term goals be YouTube stars. Okay? And so you're going to see a major disparity in our society. So here's a solution. Get all of your freaking kids on J-Juice. That's the only way you're going to be able to actually compete equally in this society that is drugged the F out, that is gene-edited CRISPR children. Okay? Because when you have a CRISPR kid, they're very imbalanced in their body, mind, and spirit. So what makes a CRISPR kid that's such a genius? Because they have more laser focus, more of the hormones that allow them to sit and focus on stuff so they can actually meet their goals and achieve their goals, have a vision, and then finally carry it out and execute it with an actual specific measurable result. Okay? So that is, okay, so when you have a kid that can do that, but then you have a kid that can't do that for whatever reason, okay, well, that's when you have all the issues. And then if you do the J-Juice, well, here's the thing, hold on a second. With a kid that can meet their goals, but they'll have other imbalances in their world, okay? They'll have other imbalances, which means that they're not going to be able to sustain, when you think about it, a well-rounded type of thing. They're going to have other social issues, or they could be psycho killers. You don't know. So they'll be very smart in the books, but they're going to be then very cattywampus in other areas, in their other hormones. And you'll see them make bad decisions or have some kind of issue. But when you have a kid that actually does the J juice and they balance out their body, mind, and spirit, they will be able to relax, focus, see the world as a bigger picture, everything connected, not just be so tunneled into one little thing. And they'll probably achieve a lot more. And then guess what? They will live a lot longer. These CRISPR kids are going to be a flash in the pan. Flash in the pan is these CRISPR kids, these genetically modified kids. Because remember, all of the cancer, disease, and chronic illness comes from genetic engineering, from autism all the way to genius. And in everything and all points in between, with all the different fluctuations, too much hormones here, but not enough hormones here. And so that's why you're seeing kids are committing suicide. That's why you're seeing kids that are psychotic. So they're seeing kids they're very focused and very like, why are these kids so smart? They're in the GATE program. Oh my God, they're a genius. No, they're just genetically modified. But if every kid freaking did the J juice, everyone that knows about J juice has their kid do the J juice, they can compete with those that have already a leg up because they have parents who bought all of those procedures. They did the in vitro, got the designer babies, and now they have a designer kid that is going to achieve a lot more at an earlier age. Now, what biotech and these parents that bought CRISPR kids need to figure out is how to apply the J juice so that way their kid doesn't die when they're 40 or 50. They actually can sustain their goals and achievements and live long enough to watch all of their new inventions, because they were so smart when they were 9, now come to fruition and then be used in the population. But right now we have too many adults that can't even get themselves balanced out, much less, of course, their kids. But I'm just gonna let you know, mark my words, we are now seeing the future. Because remember, you can see patterns once you understand the patterns. If you're in a pattern right now and you're just reacting and reacting, you're not going to see the patterns. But once you actually get yourself well balanced, you'll be able to see the patterns and you can predict how things are going to happen. And that is the beauty of J juice. So those of you that are just fucking around with J juice, too bad for you, because you are going to be on that trajectory and you're not going to see the potential for yourself as well as your children, because you're still going to play the same games, and then other people are going to achieve a lot more, as you're still scrimping and pinching. Because I'm going to tell you, when someone has more money to be able to afford a designer baby that's going to have all these inventions as well as themselves, you can get the minerals and the money in your body with the J juice. That's where you can collect minerals. No different than somebody is creating a baby that's going to be all like superhuman and have all these great characteristics that are going to be very marketable. But you as a person could be drinking J juice and you could be making $20,000, $10,000 a year. Do the J juice. Now make yourself marketable because you have productivity. You're not freaking emotional, all up and down, playing the discrimination game, which I see a lot of you who say, oh, I'm doing the J juice, but you're so freaking emotional, you're never going to be able to do the J juice. But that's the whole point, is the J juice is that you can actually now finally be marketable and live a long time instead of being a flash in the pan with a limited lifespan. Okay? So I'm just telling you, I'm just letting you know, this is the future. And that's why we have kids that are depressed, because they can't compete with these CRISPR kids. And when you have a society that has a disparity in the money, the rich versus the poor, the rich, the real rich, can afford designer babies that will be movers and shakers in our society. And then those of you that are poor, and even middle income is poor, because you're basically getting whatever you get based upon your genetics, and your kid's going to be a crapshoot. And then you don't know what kind of viruses and drugs and everything else, and all your organic is going to affect your child. And then guess what? They will start degrading very quickly, because that's what happens in our society when you don't fix all of the weaknesses. All right, I'm going to go, but mark my words. If you don't get your kids on J juice, or you get on J juice, I'm telling you, the future is now. The future is now. So you're seeing these little geniuses that are out there, but they're not geniuses. They're just gene-edited babies that your kids have to compete against. And no one asks, well, where the hell did you get your genes from? They're not going to say, hey, well, I'm not going to, it's not fair that my kid's competing against somebody that has a genetic lottery of gene editing, CRISPR kid type of thing, and drugged out, or so to speak. So then people who are like, who aren't a CRISPR kids, they're going to take drugs, they're going to take Adderall, they're going to do all these things, try to compete. But guess what? You won't know how to put all that together, and people will start doing themselves in. And so I'm just giving you a heads up and a warning. You know, a society that recognizes that they have to fix the weaknesses. No matter what, reproduction creates weaknesses. And when you reproduce on traumatized bodies, you create even more weaknesses. And then the more that we push, you know, a low infant mortality rate, the more we accept cancer, disease, and chronic illness, unless you are pushing J-juice. But if you are pushing for a low infant mortality rate with a high rate of cancer, disease, and chronic illness, you're going to see some major shit out there. And so you might as well just promote J-juice, because if not, I'm going to be watching. I'm standing by watching, because I can't really help people who don't want to be helped out there. But I'm telling you, these kids, the future right now, the future for the kids today is bleak, unless you guys as adults who already have seen the patterns, because you're freaking 40, 30, 20, 50, 60 years old. If you don't get your ass in gear and help your kids and the future, and you're doing J-juice, or maybe you're not, why the hell are you on this earth? To just emote and talk about, oh, how you were abused as a child? Oh, and how Epstein didn't kill himself? Who cares if Epstein didn't kill himself? Why don't you care about your life and the future for the world? Okay? So anyways, whatever. I'll talk to you later. Bye.